Look inside the pantry of the average American prepper, and you will see a monument to poor logistical planning. You will see 50-pound plastic buckets of white rice stacked to the ceiling. When the news issues a storm warning, when the CDC mumbles about a new pathogen, or when supply chains hiccup, what do people do? They drive to a big box store and buy out the rice aisle. They think sheer volume equals security. That is exactly why they fail. Rice is a trap. It is an illusion of preparedness masked as a carbohydrate. Let's do the basic physics. To make 1 cup of white rice edible, you need 2 cups of potable water. Then you need to bring that water to a rolling boil. To raise 1 gallon of water from room temperature to 212 degrees Fahrenheit requires a massive expenditure of British thermal units, or BTUs. If the grid goes down, your electric stove is dead. Your microwave is a paperweight. You are relying on propane canisters or chopped wood. In a sustained disruption, fuel and clean drinking water will become your 2 most precious commodities. Yet people plan to squander both of them daily just to soften a flavorless grain. Then comes the human element. Most people completely ignore palatability fatigue. If you feed an adult human nothing but boiled white rice and beans for 14 days, a biological safety mechanism kicks in. The brain craves sensory variety. It will eventually trigger physical nausea at the sight of the food. You will literally starve with a full stomach because your body refuses to swallow another bite of unseasoned starch. Stop buying rice. Stop prepping for an imaginary scenario where you have unlimited fuel, unlimited water, and 0 psychological stress. Today, we are looking at cold, hard reality. We are looking at 7 survival foods that require 0 to minimal resources, deliver massive caloric density, and actually keep a human body functioning under duress. These items bypass the fuel trap. They respect the chemistry of preservation. Stay until number 1 because it is a biological anomaly that never expires, heals physical wounds, and changes how you look at food storage forever. Number 7, instant potato flakes. Most people view instant mashed potatoes as a cheap, low-tier side dish. They walk right past them in the grocery aisle. But you need to look at the chemistry of what is actually in that box. Instant potato flakes are fully cooked, dehydrated complex carbohydrates. The cellular walls of the potato have already been broken down by heat during the manufacturing process. The moisture was then extracted. Because the cooking has already been done for you at the factory, you do not need boiling water to reconstitute them. You only need liquid. If the grid drops and your propane runs out, you can pour a cup of cold, filtered water into a bowl of potato flakes, stir it, and wait 5 minutes. They will rehydrate perfectly. You just saved 100% of the thermal energy required to cook a carbohydrate base. You bypassed the fuel trap entirely. A massive box at any typical American warehouse club costs around $8 and yields dozens of servings. It weighs a fraction of what a bag of rice weighs, making it highly portable if you have to throw it in the back of a truck and drive 300 miles away from a disaster zone. Furthermore, you are solving a psychological problem. Potato flakes taste like comfort food. When a crisis hits, human cortisol levels spike. People act irrationally in crowds. Your heart rate is elevated. The mental toll of a disruption is exhausting. In that state, you do not want to gnaw on survival rations that taste like cardboard. You want a food that causes 0 friction to consume. Instant potatoes deliver soft, easily digestible calories that soothe the nervous system. Number 6. Canned pink salmon or sardines in oil. When average citizens try to stockpile protein, they grab flat after flat of canned tuna packed in water. They see the low fat content and think they are making a healthy choice. In a survival situation, that is a fatal error. Lean protein without accompanying fat leads to a condition known as protein poisoning or rabbit starvation. Your liver can only process so much pure protein before it is overwhelmed. If you are burning calories chopping wood, hauling water, or securing your property, you need dense energy. Fat is the ultimate survival currency. Carbohydrates deliver 4 calories per gram. Fat delivers 9. This is why you ignore the tuna and buy canned pink salmon or sardines packed in olive oil. You want the highest lipid content you can find on the shelf. The oil acts as a secondary calorie multiplier. Do not drain it in the sink. You drink it or you soak it up with your carbohydrates. Oxygen degrades fats, but the tin creates a hermetic seal. No oxygen means no oxidation, No oxidation means no rancidity. It just sits there quietly waiting. There is zero preparation required. You pull the pull tab, you eat. You consume the soft bones inside the sardines for calcium, which your body will desperately need if fresh dairy supply chains freeze. At local grocery chains, a tin of sardines costs roughly $1.50. You can stack 100 of them in a single milk crate under your bed. In a worst-case scenario, the oil in those tins can even be isolated and burned with a cotton wick to provide emergency lighting. You are buying a high-fat meal and a candle for under $2. Number 5. Commercial peanut butter. I am not talking about the expensive, organic, natural peanut butter where the oil separates at the top of the glass jar. Leave that on the shelf. You want the highly processed commercial brands. The ones packed in shatterproof 40-ounce plastic tubs. The ones formulated with hydrogenated vegetable oils. Most health-conscious consumers avoid hydrogenated oils because they are artificially stabilized fats. But in a grid-down scenario, chemical stability is exactly what keeps you alive. Hydrogenation alters the molecular structure of the oil, making it highly resistant to going rancid at room temperature. It forces the peanut butter to remain a homogenized, spreadable paste. A single 40-ounce jar of commercial peanut butter contains roughly 6,500 calories. Do the math on the sheer density. You are holding 3 days of total caloric requirements for a grown adult in a plastic cylinder the size of a softball. It costs $6. That is less than 1/10 of a cent per calorie. Think about the operational flexibility. It requires 0 utensils. You do not need a stove, a plate, or a fire. You can eat it with a spoon or your finger while walking, and it provides a massive morale boost. Peanut butter delivers an instant hit of fat, sugar, and salt, the holy trinity of human dopamine triggers. If you have terrified children sitting in a dark house because the power grid failed, handing them a spoonful of peanut butter lowers their panic. It signals to the primitive brain that caloric abundance is still present. Number 4. Ghee. Americans hoard sticks of butter in their freezers. They buy it on sale and stack it like cordwood. This works flawlessly right up until the exact moment a hurricane knocks out the regional power grid for a week. The freezer thaws, the butter warms, the bacteria bloom, the supply rots. Butter is roughly 20% water and milk solids. Bacteria require moisture to multiply. Ghee is the engineered solution. It is clarified butter taken to its logical extreme. During the manufacturing process, butter is simmered until all the water evaporates and the milk solids toast and are filtered out. What remains is 100% pure butterfat. Because the moisture has been eradicated, the environment becomes hostile to bacterial life. You can leave a sealed jar of ghee sitting on a pantry shelf at 75 degrees Fahrenheit for years, and it will not spoil. You can walk into any warehouse club or large pharmacy chain and buy a 32-ounce tub of ghee for about $15. It is the perfect lipid delivery system. If you only have cheap, dry carbohydrates left in your pantry, coating them in a spoonful of ghee instantly doubles the caloric value of the meal. It also slows the absorption of the carbohydrates in your digestive tract, preventing a rapid insulin spike and the subsequent energy crash. It keeps you fueled, leveled, and focused when you need your wits about you. Number 3. Bouillon cubes. This is the blind spot of almost every amateur emergency planner. People stockpile beans, oats, and wheat, but they entirely forget the chemistry of flavor and human hydration. If you eat a monotonous diet of bland survival paste, your morale plummets. Furthermore, under high-stress conditions, you will sweat. If you are forced to walk 5 miles to a gas station because the pumps are down, you are losing massive amounts of sodium. If you drink straight, purified water to rehydrate without replacing those electrolytes, you risk hyponatremia. Your cells will literally swell, leading to confusion, lethargy, and physical collapse. Bouillon cubes are the ultimate logistical cheat code. They are highly concentrated blocks of sodium, MSG, and dehydrated animal fats. A plastic jar of 100 beef or chicken bouillon cubes costs around $4. It takes up the physical volume of a coffee mug. You can easily fit it in a glove compartment or a backpack. When you dissolve 1 cube into a cup of warm water, you are instantly replacing lost sodium and triggering the savory umami receptors on your tongue. The psychological trick is profound. It turns a cup of hot water into a meal. It tricks the nervous system into feeling satiated. If you are forced to eat unseasoned scavenged food or cold potato flakes, a dissolved bouillon cube masks the misery. It forces your family to ingest the calories they would otherwise reject. Number 2. Whey protein isolate. Look at the emergency lists provided by FEMA or standard survival blogs. They always tell you to buy canned meat. Cans are great, but they are deeply flawed. They are heavy. They take up massive volumetric space. They dent, which breaks the internal seal and invites botulism. If you have to abandon your home, you cannot carry a month's supply of canned chicken in a rucksack. Whey protein isolate is the pragmatic alternative. It is a byproduct of the cheese manufacturing industry, stripped of fat and lactose, leaving behind a highly bioavailable powder. Human bodies cannot store protein the way they store fat. You do not have protein reserves. You require a daily influx of amino acids to repair muscle tissue. In a disaster recovery scenario, you will be doing manual labor. You will be clearing debris, boarding up windows, or moving heavy objects. You will tear muscle fibers. Without protein, you will rapidly lose physical strength. A 5-pound jug of whey isolate costs about $60 at a big box sporting goods store or pharmacy. Inside that single plastic jug are over 70 servings. Each serving delivers 25 grams of pure protein. Try fitting 70 chicken breasts into a single backpack. It is mathematically impossible. Whey isolate mixes instantly with cold water. It bypasses the digestive friction of solid meat and enters your bloodstream rapidly. It requires no heat, no cooking, and no refrigeration. It is the most efficient form of pure muscle preservation legally available on the commercial market. Number 1. Raw honey. This is the apex of survival foods. Most people buy bags of cheap, refined white sugar for their coffee. When the humidity hits, that sugar absorbs the moisture in the air and turns into a literal brick. It becomes useless without a hammer. Raw, unfiltered honey operates on a completely different set of biological rules. It is one of the only foods on Earth that permanently defies decay. It has an incredibly low moisture content and a highly acidic pH level, usually hovering around 3.9. When bacteria or microorganisms attempt to grow in honey, the extreme osmotic pressure literally sucks the water out of the bacterial cells, dehydrating and killing them on contact. Archaeologists have opened Egyptian tombs and found jars of honey sitting in the dark for 3,000 years. It was still perfectly edible. It just sat there quietly waiting. But it is not just food. It is an immediate glucose delivery system that provides instant ATP production to exhausted cells. When your blood sugar crashes and you are shaking from adrenaline, a spoonful of honey stabilizes you in minutes. Beyond calories, it is legitimate frontline medicine. Before the advent of modern antibiotics, honey was used in battlefield triage. Applied topically to burns, lacerations, or deep abrasions, it forms a viscous barrier against outside pathogens while actively destroying the bacteria already in the wound. You do not buy the cheap liquid syrup shaped like a plastic bear. That has been pasteurized and stripped of its enzymatic properties. You go to a local farm store or a big box retailer and buy a massive jug of raw, local honey. A 5-pound tub will cost you around $25. It is an immortal food source, a surgical-grade antibacterial ointment, and an untraceable currency you can barter with when paper money loses its meaning. It will outlast you. Preparedness is not about buying out the grocery store out of fear. It is about cold mathematics and supply chain reality. It is prioritizing caloric density over useless volume. It is recognizing that when the modern infrastructure fails, fuel and water are your absolute bottlenecks. You must acquire assets that bypass those bottlenecks. You want foods that fight palatability fatigue, endure temperature swings without spoiling, and provide the exact macronutrients your stressed biology demands. Anything else is just expensive dead weight. Take a hard look at your own pantry. What is the one item sitting on your shelf right now that you bought in a moment of panic, that actually requires entirely too much fuel or water to prepare? Let me know in the comments below. Stop prepping like a victim and start analyzing like a professional.